Summertime is prime time for disrespectful offers, folks. I got that quote right before I pressed record from a top 1% agent in the country, the one and only Beth Traverso. Beth, how's it going?
Hello, going great. Always a highlight of my week to be here with you. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Love talking to you. It's funny. You texted me, I think it was about 10 days ago, because
Yeah.
we had a conversation about disrespectful offers in one of our weekly conversations. And you're like, nope, haven't seen them yet. I think it was 3 or 4 days later. You go, disrespectful offers are back in a huge way. I got
Yeah.
three of them today.
With the
So
vengeance. As a listing agent, it felt a bit like a gut punch, a few times, 3 times in a day. And I was like, what? So, I try to be selective about the things that I text you about because I know you get hit all the time with things, but I'm just like, this is notable enough. I have to let Mike Zuber know about this, that, yes, they are back. Um, Sometimes even on new listings, which is a little bit
wow.
unusual. Some people are just coming right out of the chute with the disrespectful offer. I generally recommend waiting a little bit
Yeah.
at first. Like I know your buy box, it wouldn't even show up until at least 30
30
or
days.
more days.
30 days.
But
Absolutely.
definitely if something's been hanging around on the market a little longer, people are coming in with the very low offers, and sometimes they're winning depending on the motivation factor of the seller.
Well, let's put some round numbers or percentages, because again, people hear us talk disrespectful offers. They are going to probably twist to their market. Your market, King County, roughly speaking, is $1 million kind of median price. You're on the east side, which is a little bit higher. Let's call it 1.2, whatever that is. Um, is disrespectful in your eyes 10% under list price? Where does that line sort of start?
For me, it's about 10% under list price. And there's no, of course, definition of that. But we're
Yeah.
looking at, overall, King County still is selling for, at least in the latest data from last month, is still selling for right around 100% or a tad over 100% on
Right.
average, or the median price is, list price to sale price ratio is a little over 100%. But so if somebody's coming in 10% under that, it's pretty extreme. Especially when we're talking, that's usually going to equate to 6 figures or so
Yeah.
under. It's a
Yeah.
big hit to someone's bottom line. And on the east side where I am, in our little sub area, our median price is around 1.6. There's a vast
Mm.
array of houses, right? But let's just say around there. So if somebody's coming in 100K or more under list, that's going to be considered, especially on a new listing, that's going to be or if it's
Yeah.
on a lower price listing, say at 700 and someone's coming in at 600, that's quite a bit off. So
Yeah.
I'm
A
not saying it's
100
often they're
grand.
being accepted, but
Yeah.
sometimes they are. Depends on the
Yeah.
motivation of the seller.
This is what I've been telling people is coming, right? It's time to know that let me just be very clear. I think writing a disrespectful offer on a first day listing is stupid.
Yes,
That
and that
that's
one was not accepted, by the way. That was one of the three that I received, and that
that's
was
just that's
not
just poor behavior.
accepted.
That's just
Yeah.
an idiot, right? So
Hmm.
I think what you have to do is you have to figure out what the average days on market is in your market. Is it 15? Is it 20? Pick some date slightly over the average. And then, in my opinion, you have every right to write an offer. It has been on the market longer than average, and it's
Hmm.
time to test the waters.
Yeah.
Um, that's what I mean. And again, doesn't guarantee a yes answer, but it's a numbers game. Write them, follow up, write them, follow up. So, yeah,
Yeah, and
it's
the best agents, buyers agents are going to be having that conversation with the listing agent. And oftentimes the best way to set it up for success is just kind of feel it out. Like, what's the situation with the sellers? What's going on with them? What's happening with activity on the listing? And just have you received offers? Those kind of questions. I would say a tip would be don't insult the property. That's never going to gain you favor with the
no.
seller. And if they feel like you're a mean person, they're not going to want to do you any favors.
Yeah.
So, and you got to remember, for a lot of people, their house is like their baby. And if you tell them their baby's ugly or whatever, like, they're not going to want to work with you. So a lot of times it might be the best chance for success for framing. It might be something like, well, we like the property and it meets a lot of our needs, but for the price to work for us, it would have to be this much. We realize that may or may not work for you, but this is what works
Yeah.
for us.
Yep.
If it works for us, if we can make this deal happen and you can sell and be on your way,
Mm-hmm.
ideally for me, I would put in some other terms that, or I would want to see that, depending on what side of the table I'm on. It would be good to give the seller something, like maybe pull back certain other concessions or other things to make up for that low price.
Right.
Although I am seeing some buyers right now be like, hey, this is it, and I'm willing to walk if it doesn't work out. And that's okay if you're that buyer.
Yeah.
And sometimes they want I had a client describe it to me as somebody who, he works in the automotive industry or whatever, but and he was saying some people want to make a wholesale offer and want retail terms, and you don't really get both, in his
Yep.
opinion. Like if you're going to make the low offer, then you're not necessarily going to get all the other things too.
Yep.
But some people are just asking for all of the things. And like,
Mhm.
yeah, we want inspections, and you better bet they're going to ask for things on inspection, and they want
Mhm.
this and that and credits. And I've been that buyer. And sometimes it's the right thing. We're like, hey,
Yep.
this is my offer, and I'm not trying to, insult anyone, but this is what works for me. If it works for you, then we have a
Yeah.
deal and you can be done.
Yeah.
And
I
if you
really
don't,
think,
then we move on.
Beth, I think we've entered a buyer's market. For anybody that's been in the game, I don't know, 4 years or less, you haven't seen a buyer's market. It's been
Yeah.
somewhere between a seller's market and a nuts seller's market. I think with the latest NAR existing home sales this morning, it's proof that I know what I'm talking about. We came in at 3.89 million transactions, below expectations, nearly taking out the low of 3.88. What does this all
Yeah.
mean? Buyer's market. Know your numbers, hold to your guns, write an offer. Frankly, Beth, I don't want a seller to take my first offer. I want them to counter and tell me kind of what's important to them. And
Mm-hmm.
then follow up, follow up, follow up. So this is a number. I don't need every deal. Unlike home buyers who may be fixated on a neighborhood or a school system or whatever, I'm an investor and the deal's got a pencil or I don't want it. So
Right.
buyer's market, summertime, disrespectful offers. It is time to do the work.
Yeah. Here's another thing that really is indicating that it's time for people to make these offers is it is in a lot of it's very, very quiet out there. A lot of agents and buyers have just checked out.
Yep.
I'm here working because I always work. I take time off and do my thing. I schedule my family time and we get our time in, but like I'm not just taking the summer off, and
Right.
the agents that are out there working right now and the buyers that are out there doing their work will find deals, because if everyone else is not around or paying attention and buyers and sellers are getting anxious because they're not getting showings or anybody showing any interest, if you come along and you're showing interest, they're going to get more realistic, especially if they start to see inventory building up. There's other houses competing. That's when you start seeing price drops. Now, I don't know if I can definitely say in our market yet that we've shifted to buyer market. It remains to be seen, because I am still seeing some houses, a decent number of houses are still selling in a short period of time. But there's other ones out there that notably are not, that would have otherwise. And that's something we were not seeing earlier in the year that we're definitely seeing now.
Here's a prediction for your market. I'm gonna guess, and I would put $100 on this crazy bet. I'm gonna guess sometime in the next 90 days, there's a house in King County that sells for $500,000 less than list price.
Yeah. What
Right?
would the list price be on something like that?
Well, it's got to be a multi-million-dollar property. Again,
Yeah.
it's going to be
Because
a
there
one
will
of a
be.
kind.
There's always the
Yeah.
very high ones that are always selling for a bunch under. But so I would say that's a safe bet. I'm not gonna put my $100 on the table there, because I feel like I might
That's
lose
an easy.
that.
But
Yeah.
here's the key. Like a lot of people, are out there going, "Oh, look at look at they took $580,000 less than list price. Housing crash." I'm like, no, no,
Mhm.
moron. That was a $4.2 million listing.
Yeah.
They,
Yeah.
they, they sold it for 3.7. They bought it for 1.2,
Yeah.
15 years ago. They're doing
Right.
just fine.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It's kind of a proportional thing, depending on the size of the list price. But yeah, it absolutely is going to happen. And I'm thinking we're going to see it more regularly, where we're going to see houses selling for 100K or so under,
oh,
or
easy.
or at minimum have 100K list drop, and then
Price drop,
it
yeah.
sells for a little bit under that, which is kind of the same thing. But we do see more of a tendency for that in our area, which is Greater Seattle for those that don't know. But if it goes where it would sell, people wait for the price to hit a certain point, then they come in a little bit under that. I
Yeah.
would say go ahead of the list price drop and try to get in there before they do the price
Yeah,
drop.
watch days on market, write it before the drop,
Yeah.
right? If price cuts come at 21 days, write the offer on 20, right? Guys, do the work,
Yeah.
learn the market, learn the rhythm.
And it's the communication with the agents, it's real, the listing agents is really going to give you the best intel on what's going on with that. And if somebody already bought, already moved, they're motivated, they don't want to carry two mortgages, they not seeing the activity they want, they're going to be motivated. Now, the thing that I'm asking myself is, we see this every summer. So I'm wondering, is this different than what we saw every other summer before this? Or is this a continuation of the normal seasonality that you always see in our charts that we look at sometimes, where it's like there's a spike where we have the bidding wars drive the price up, and the bidding wars stop, and then the running up of the price also stops, and then it kind of levels out a little bit. The question is this going to be something that's going to persist into the fall? Where we really see is in we have to wait a little while, but if in January we're still saying the same thing, then that's definitely a big change. If we don't get a bump in January, then that's really notable.
Yeah, again, King County is its own little special place, Seattle. When you look at the country, buyers have really turned off, right? Rates above 7 turned them off. The election, the nonsense that's going on. It's just the consumers are like, I'm tired, I'm pissed off, I'm scared. And when they're in that state of mind, they're not buying homes.
Yeah.
That's why I think we're going below 3.88. We almost got there this month. Probably going to get there next month.
That's so surprising. And a lot of agents are backing off now too. And there's a lot of some behind the scenes are panicked about these changes that are, it's August 17th is when the new settlement terms are going to be implemented, where in some cases there aren't going to be any offers of buyer agent compensation, and people are all worked up about that. I'm not, because I figured I'll just put it in the offer, don't be scared of that. And if you're a buyer and you say, oh, there's no offer of compensation being made here, what do I do? Write your offer and put it in there.
Yeah.
So
it's all negotiation.
Yeah, I saw one where there was a $3 million house that was by put on the market by some for sale by owner service. I forget which one. It was one of those ones where you just, there's no agent. It's just $500. They put it on the MLS, and it said buyer compensation 0. And I wonder how this is going to work out. And then I saw it go pending after 3 days. I'm like, oh, cool. Good for them. This beautiful house. And then I saw it closed. And so I tracked, I scrolled down to see what they did. And it sold for exactly 2.5% over the asking price with 0 concessions. It said, I wonder what happened there.
Shocking.
I'm guessing the agent got paid. So, and they worked it into the price. So, I mean, I don't know that. I'm just guessing, but don't fear it, people. If you have to ask for your compensation as a buyer agent, or if you're a buyer and you want your agent to be compensated because they deserve it and work hard, put it in the offer.
Yeah.
I would be guessing, especially if it's a buyer's market, they're going to want it. They're not going to want to disincentivize people to buy their house.
That's
or
where
sell their house. Yeah.
That's where I'm going next, is if we do leave a seller's market and we enter a buyer's market, and if it becomes a deep freeze, you better believe people are going to start adding buyer's commissions. It'll be front and center. And oh, by the way, it won't be 2.5%. It'll be 4%. Because I have been doing this a long time. And there was a time where it was easy to list and hard to sell. Guess who got paid? Buyer's agents.
Buyer agent. Because if there's not enough buyers to go around, people are going to do what they need to do to incentivize that. And helping a buyer make the deal happen, or buyer agent make the deal happen, will cost a lot less than a $50,000 price cut.
Exactly.
So, for example.
Yep. At the end of the day, folks, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask about the 3 disrespectful offers you got. One of them we've already heard went nowhere because it was on a first day listing. Dumb move. What happened to the last 2? Did your sellers counter? Did they go anywhere? What happened?
One was countered and it's now pending, and another one was so absurd it was just ignored. So
what happens? Well, hey,
2 were so absurd they just were ignored, and one was countered and it was not accepted as is, but the agreement was found
between the buyer and the seller of the district.
Yeah.
That's great. 1 in 3. That's actually, I would expect it to probably boil down on a large number to 1 in 10, 1 in 15%. 10 to 15%. It's a numbers
I had
game.
one that I
follow up.
Yes. Follow up. It's all in the follow up. And yeah, so for example, as I just look at houses just out of curiosity, and I saw one in my buy box. Well, let me go look at that. I'm not buying right now for my own reasons because I got enough on my plate already. But I looked at it and I was like, in a different circumstance, I might be interested in something like this. And they reached out to me. They're like, what do you think? Like, well, I think it's priced high because of blah, 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 blah. I'm not really looking right now. Well, what price would it need to be for it to work for you? And I'm like, oh, they're asking me for the
Yeah.
disrespectful offer, and I'm just like, I didn't make it, but I could have, and it was kind of tempting because it's kind of like, for the right price, would I take this project on? Because it was a big project. I'm like, I don't think so right now. But you
Yeah.
know,
But
sometimes they come to
that's the
you
game.
asking for the disrespectful offer. So and that's just being out there and getting those conversations going. I didn't
Yeah.
have to even ask them.
That's crazy.
So
Beth, you're
keep the
amazing.
feelers out.
Summertime,
Mm-hmm.
buyer's market, disrespectful offers, do the work. If somebody wanted to reach out to you to get a referral to a top 1% agent around the country, or better yet, write an offer in King County, how would they do that?
Yeah, I'm at bethtraversogroup.com, or you can Google my name and find me on social media, or all over the place out there. So,
Yep. And she
yeah.
has just joined the One Rental at a Time school community.
Oh
So you
yeah,
can
I'm in there too. So happy to
feel
chat
free
with
to
the
ask her
folks on there.
questions.
Yeah.
Thank you. Wonderful, Beth.
Thank
Have a good
you.
week.